Welcome back to another video here. Today we're going to be going over my positional rankings post-combine edition. I started doing rankings on here and it kind of slowed out, kind of made more room for the 7-round mock draft. So we're going to be doing the rankings today. We're going to have top 10 at each position, and I'll talk about the ones I see over here as well, guys that just missed out as well. If I do sound sick at all, I got a little cough right now, but I got to get some more videos out, and I understand that, so that's why I'm going to be making this one for you. So if you do like it, make sure to leave a like on the video. Make sure you go through the rest of the video. If you don't like it, refresh that page, go check it out again. Of course, hit the subscribe button if you're new and you want to keep up with all the draft coverage that I'm going to be doing here on this channel. And of course, leave comments down below on your rankings and where you think about mine. This is where I love having conversations with everybody in the comment sections. I think every video I've posted so far has had good comments to talk about and had multiple people go through them. So very fun to do all that, and I appreciate all the support as well. So without further ado, we're not going to wait any longer with this. We're going to start off with obviously what you can see on the screen. Joe Burrow at number 1. For these rankings, I'm not really going to talk about every single prospect. We're going to try and keep it a short and sweet video. I'll go through everyone's name, but obviously I'm not going to talk about every single prospect. But quarterbacks is one that's a huge one. Burrow, we obviously know is the best quarterback in the class. Simply just because of his insane season this year, his stature, his demeanor. I mean, he is the prime quarterback to go number 1 overall, bar none. And Tua, now that his physical has come back and said that he is healthy, which is very huge for him, and I think that it's possible that he even goes pick number 2 at this point. We'll see what happens over the next month coming up into the draft, but Tua is arguably as good, if not better, than Burrow. Depending on who you talk to. I'm a big Tua fan. Jordan Love, one of my favorite quarterbacks in this draft. I'm really hyped about him. I've loved him, no pun intended, since last year. I've kept an eye on him. He's been so solid. I have him edging out Herbert slightly. Herbert's consistency concerns in the college football seasons has just been kind of what's held me back from him. I thought he should have came out last year. Probably would have been a better idea for him, but he stayed in. He'll still be a premier first-round grade. Then you go into the guys that are probably not first-round grades. Jalen Hurts, I have him slightly beating out Eason just because I think he offers a little bit more. I think that if he gets into a system with such as what the Ravens did for Lamar Jackson, I think if they suit him around, I think he's going to be great. He had a good combine in my eyes, made some great throws. Another guy who had a pretty solid combine is Eason. I think Eason's very good. I have Anthony Gordon slightly over Jake Fromm here, and it's very slightly. Fromm, I'm not a big fan of Fromm, and on top of that, I don't think he had that good of a combine. Whereas Anthony Gordon, I think, has the upside factor for how good of a season he had at Washington State and how he was looking at the combine, throwing the ball as well, personally to me. And then I rounded out with Cole McDonald at 9 and Khalil Tate at 10 over James Morgan, Nate Stanley, and them. I just think they have a little bit more to offer. Then we move on over to the running backs here. And now we go over here to the running backs for the top 10. And it is going to be Jonathan Taylor at the helm for me. Jonathan Taylor, I think, has just been the best college football running back. I arguably could have been a Heisman winner this year if it hadn't been such an insane race for the Heisman. I think he's just got so much talent and is just ready to hit the whole running in the NFL, as well as DeAndre Swift, who I think is just another all-around back. Can pretty much do it all. In reality, no matter which one of these guys you have as your first ranked running back, you can go either way. They're solid 2 guys, and I don't think any team that gets them is going to be complaining. Jacob Dobbins, I think, has the upside to do exactly what Taylor and Swift can do. It just really depends on how he fits in the NFL. I'm not completely sold on Dobbins being a franchise running back, but I definitely see a world where it happens way more than I do a world that it doesn't. Edwards-Helaire really solidified himself, especially in the playoffs, as a top running back talent in this draft, so coming out is big for him. Cam Akers has been solid. Eno Benjamin had a very bad off year this year compared to his last season. People coming into this year thought he could be even a Heisman candidate, so he kind of dropped off. Darrington Evans, very good combine. Zach Moss had incredible production at Utah, was one of the biggest reasons that they were one of the best teams in college football this year. Antonio Gibson, I liked his tape. I'm very recently in Antonio Gibson, so we'll see from there. And Keyshawn Vaughn, I'm just a big fan of as well, out of Vanderbilt. Michael P. Ryan, Joshua Kelly, those are some guys that will probably be in there next, in my opinion. So now we move on over to the wide receiver, and this is going to be probably a little bit of a controversial one, but we have it here. CeeDee Lamb at number 1 for me. I think that he's the best receiver in this class. I think he's that explosive play. I always say it in every video. I think hit their ceilings right now. CeeDee Lamb ceiling is DeAndre Hopkins. Jerry Jeudy is Devontae Adams. They play very similar to them, and I like both of them. So it really is, do you want a Devontae Adams or do you want a DeAndre Hopkins type player? And it's up to whoever it is. But I have CeeDee Lamb slightly edging out Jerry Jeudy. Henry Ruggs, obviously, because of that speed, it's just explosive. Hopefully he can be closer to a Tyreek Hill over Hollywood Brown. I think Hollywood Brown is solid. I just don't know. I wasn't huge on him last year. I just don't know if he's going to be that premier Tyreek Hill receiver like they thought he would be. But he's still very young. He's got 1 year on his belt. He'll probably be able to progress. I hope Ruggs can hit the whole running as well. Justin Jefferson, especially with the playoffs, the combine. I mean, this dude, his 40-yard dash time, he solidifies himself as a first-round talent in my eyes. I don't see a way he gets out of the first. T. Higgins, I see a lot of people dropping him on their boards. Not me. Injury concerns are there, as well as Laviska Shenault, but the talent just outweighs it for them. They have just been so solid in their college careers. Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. I got to see him personally in person, but no, super solid receiver. We thought that the drop off from N'Keal Harry to anyone else would have been big. Ayuk filled those shoes perfectly, played well, and is arguably a first-round talent as well. Denzel Mims out of Baylor just had such a good offseason so far, and he's been well. He's rised up my board. He wasn't in my top 10 a month ago. He's now at the number 8 spot. Hamler, I'm a big fan of as well. I think that he's got that big playability. I think he's got the speed to be out on the outside. Could be a solid number 2 option for some teams. I think he'd probably go in the second round as well as Van Jefferson. But in reality, Rager, Peoples-Jones, Pittman, KJ Hill had a good one. Chase Claypool, if you want him as a receiver instead of a tight end. Colin Johnson, I like a lot too. Any one of these guys, they could all be there as well. So then we'll go over to the tight ends here. And yeah, here we go for the tight ends. I'm not familiar with a lot of these guys outside of my top 10. I haven't really done enough film for those. But Bryson Hopkins, I've just really liked this year, as well as Hunter Bryant. I think that those two can just offer a lot more at the tight end position than what the other guys can. So I have them being my top 2 guys. Cole Kmet had a solid season for Notre Dame, but watching his tape, I'm just struggling to find the wow factor that people are seeing. It might just be me, but I just don't see the wow factor on Cole Kmet. I think he's going to be a good tight end. I just don't know how well he'll be, but I hope that he does do well. He'll probably be a third-round talent, if anything, in my eyes. Thaddeus Moss, I think you go upside. Obviously, Randy Moss being his father is huge. I think that he'll even rise in draft boards due to that. But I think that the talent is there. He might just need a little bit of time to progress. Harrison Bryant, small school, but definitely a solid tight end. Albert O is somebody who I think can rise up on my draft board a lot. I'm a big fan of him. I just haven't seen enough to edge him out over those other guys, but I think he's going to be very solid. Trotman, his tape's very, very solid. Pinckney is a little bit lower than on a lot of people's boards. I think Pinckney is solid. Parkinson and O'Grady round out the top 10 for that. Then we move on over to offensive tackle here, and that is where I have at the top Andrew Thomas. Everyone keeps over analyzing him. I mean, I saw in Tom McShay's latest mock draft, Andrew Thomas I think went 27th in the draft. He's been the best offensive lineman, arguably, if not the best offensive tackle in college football since he was basically started. He's just been a beast. There's no reason that we're over-analyzing him. I get the shiny new objects on the Mekhi Bectons and the Wirfs and everything, but Andrew Thomas has consistently did it. And even if he drops to 27, whoever gets Andrew Thomas is not going to regret it in the slightest. I think he's the best, and I think that teams probably have him on the top of their draft board as well. Mekhi Becton, that speed, that size, we've heard everything about Mekhi Becton since the combine. It's just something to be awful of. It's just really the fact that he's got to watch the weight. He had weight troubles a lot in college. If he can do that and he can stay healthy and everything, and I think Mekhi Becton could be very solid in the league. That's why I'm at number 2. Over Tristan Wirfs, who I had at number 2 prior, Jedrick Wills. Any of these 4 guys, they can go in any order. They are so solid. There's a small drop-off in a lot of people's eyes. I don't think there's not much of a drop-off from Josh Jones to the other guys. I think Josh Jones has been a very, very good offensive tackle out of Houston. I've liked watching him. I kept my eye on him from last year as well. Just because, I was watching the Houston games with Ed Oliver, so looking at Josh Jones was just the kind of thing, okay, well, let's get ready for this if he comes out. If not, he could be there next year. Austin Jackson, I think, is very solid too. Wasn't really expecting him to come out this year, but now that he is, I think he'll be a top tackle talent, probably in the early second round. Hopefully a team like my Giants could take him out. Luke Niang, Prince Tegawanago, Shady Charles, and Isaiah Wilson round out my top 10 for you as well. Then we got over to the interior offensive linemen. Now, if anybody tells you that Tyler Biadasz is not the best offensive lineman in the interior in the draft, they are lying to you for whatever reason. It's the same thing with Isaiah Wilson, with Andrew Thomas. There's no reason that they're getting overanalyzed as much as they are. They are valuable. They are the best talent at the draft at their position, and it's ridiculous that we're trying to overanalyze. I see people have him as a third-round grade. That's what the Draft Network has it on. That's just ridiculous. Biadasz is the best in the draft without a doubt. Cesar Ruiz, I think, is very close as well. Lloyd Cushenberry is also another guy, and Nick Harris. I think that all of these guys will be very, very good at the second level at that center position. So the teams needing interior offensive line help, these are good guys that can range from first to third round in how they are. Shane Lemieux, I think, is another guy. He's been productive. I think there's no reason to hold him back. Ben Bredesen, Jonah Jackson, John Simpson, I think they've all done very well at their position, as well as Natane Moody and Matt Hennessy. That rounds out my top 10 at the interior offensive line. Now, in interior defensive line, we're going to lead it off here with Derek Brown. Derek Brown out of Auburn. I mean, what can you say? This is my third-ranked prospect in the draft behind Joe Burrow and Chase Young. I think he is that good of a talent. Where he falls is beyond our understanding. It's just simply because interior defensive line is just not as big of a need as it used to be. But then again, Quinnen Williams went high last year, so maybe we'll see Derek Brown sneak in there when we don't really expect it. Javon Kinlaw, I think, is as good, probably top 15 talent. I just don't think he'll go that high just because of, like I said, the team needs. I think he'll be a late first rounder, unfortunately, but his production has earned him that top 15 spot. Neville Gallimore's gotten a lot of traction out of Oklahoma, as well as Ross Blacklock and Justin Matabuike. A lot of people are in love with these prospects. I've seen them go late first rounds, and a lot of professional analysts, professional mock drafters, and a lot of their mock drafts, I've seen a lot of these guys hop in there in the first round. Raekwon Davis out of Alabama defensive lineman. You never bet against them because they are just always productive in the league. Then we rounded out with another Auburn D tackle, Marlon Davidson, as well as Rashard Lawrence out of LSU, Davon Hamilton out of Ohio State, and at the end, my personal guy to hop in the top 10 is Raekwon Williams. You could fill out some other guys, maybe Jordan Elliott or Laryl Murchison, but I think that these are going to be the guys and the interior defensive line. Now we move over on to the edge rusher. This is another one where I think it kind of set it up for myself pretty well. Is Chase Young? He's the best player in the draft without a question. Talent-wise, he's just the best, and I hope his NFL career is just as good. AJ Epinesa out of Iowa. I used to be a lot lower on him. He probably would have been third, fourth, maybe even fifth a couple months ago, but I've just kind of over the offseason found more of a respect for Epinesa. I think he's going to be good at the next level, and I hope he is. I think he'd be helpful for a team in the late first round or mid first round. Caleb Chason, I think that the risk of the LSU D lineman runs, a lot of them don't pan out well in the league, unfortunately. But I think Caleb Chason could break that mold. I think he's very, very good, and could do it. I just have him slightly below Epinesa. Zach Bond has been getting a lot of traction as well as a first round grade, so I'll throw him in there at the end as well. I'm not huge on his tape. I haven't really watched enough of it to give him a higher or lower grade than what I've seen from other guys, but based off what I've heard from everybody else and their analysts, he's right there. Terrell Lewis out of Alabama, I'm a big fan of him. I think that he's going to be very good at the second level. Josh Uche out of Michigan. Yetur Gross-Matos, I think a lot of people have his first round grades. I think that he's kind of fallen down my draft board over the past few months, as well as Curtis Weaver. Not really to their fault, just to the fact of other people passing him like Zach Bond and Uche. And Lewis. Then Julian Okwara and Jonathan Grenard out of Florida to end it out. Anthony Jennings, Alton Robinson, Jabari Zuniga, and Bradley Anae are probably guys I would probably throw in there right after. I'm big on Alton Robinson. I think that he is going to be a late round guy. I think that he's going to be actually really solid in the NFL, and I hope that he is. I hope to see it out of Syracuse. Then we move on over to linebackers. Isaiah Simmons is number one. Nobody's questioning that. He's top 5 talent. He could go top 5, and I think he better. I don't think there's a way that the Giants pass him up, unfortunately. We might, just because we have other needs as well, but I think Isaiah Simmons is just a transcendent talent and could go wherever he needs to go and fit in perfectly. Patrick Queen, I have him slightly over Kenneth Murray because the injury concerns that Murray has shown, especially at the combine, having to not finish all the drills due to the injuries. Patrick Queen, I think, is just a in between the tackles kind of tackler. Will attack it a lot more, as Kenneth Murray, I think, is more in the pass game. He's going to cover a lot better. Troy Dye out of Oregon, very solid tape as well. Then you move on over to Malik Harrison out of Ohio State, Jordan Brooks, Texas Tech, Evan Weaver, California, Willie Gay Jr. out of Mississippi State, which you can't even put his name in Madden if you're a gamer out there. Joe Bocci out of Michigan State. I hope that he can do well. I thought his tape was good, but he did not produce as well as I hoped he would this year. And then Shaq Quarterman out of Miami at the number 10 pick. A lot of other good guys as well. You look at Kamal Martin, Marcus Bailey, Justin Strad, David Woodward, Akeem Davis Gaither. There's a lot of good linebacker talent in the late rounds. There's not much of a difference between a lot of these guys and these guys over here. It's pretty much just a pick of your choice. Move on over to the cornerback position, the second to last position of the ranking video. Jeff Okudah at number 1. He's going to be the Ramsey of the draft. That's the number 1 corner, and then drop off is kind of significant. I think he's in a tier of his own. C.J. Henderson, I think, is just the number 2 guy. He's had such a productive season at Florida, and I think that his offseason has helped a lot as well. People are kind of respecting him a lot more than they were prior. He was kind of a second-round grade going into the offseason. Now he's a top 10 grade in some people's eyes. So I think he could go top 15. I think that that's very attainable for him. I think that he will be a very solid corner, and I hope he does well. Christian Fulton is very, very close to him, as well as Trevon Diggs. I think they both have a lot to offer. It's really just a scheme fit of what you need in your offense or your defense, apologies, and you kind of pick which one you want. AJ Terrell at Clemson, he's going to be a little overanalyzed because of how Clemson kind of ended their year, but Terrell's still going to be solid. He's probably going to be early second-round grade. Jeff Gladney's gotten a lot of traction as well as Noah. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, out of Auburn. Damon Arnett, I like out of Ohio State as well. Jalen Johnson and Troy Pride Jr. out of Notre Dame. But like I said, again, with the linebacker position as well. A lot of these guys, Bryce Hall, Darnay Holmes, Cameron Dantzler, a lot of these guys. I'm huge on Lamar Jackson out of Nebraska. I think he's going to be a late-round talent, but I think he's going to be solid in the NFL. But it's completely possible that I'm completely wrong with that. But a lot of guys you can pick from in that cornerback position. And then finally, rounding it out, at the safety position, we have Xavier McKinney leading it out. I think Grant Delpit, how his poor season kind of did not help him at all. And I think the offseason has kind of pushed McKinney a lot higher than him. So I think McKinney is the most talented safety in the draft, in my own opinion, at this point in time. Delpit, I think, is still going to be very good. I think the talent there is going to be huge for him because he has the talent to be a top 10 talent in this draft. But I think that he's going to be drafted late first round, just be due to all the, what happened this year with him and the tackling concerns and all that stuff. Antoine Winfield out of Minnesota has gotten a lot of respect, even as a first-round grade, late first round, early second, as well as Ashton Davis. Ashton Davis could even go in the first round. I'm a big fan of him out of Cal. Kyle Duggar out of Lenora Rhine. You have that small school risk out of him, but I think that it's possible that he comes in and does insane, as well as Jeremy Chin. I think that both of them can do very well, kind of like a Nazir Adderley last year. I think that they're going to be very good at the next level. Aloy Gilman's right there. Brandon Jones, I'm a big fan of out of Texas as kind of a midday 2 guy. Terrell Burgess out of Utah, and Kavon Wallace out of Clemson. Some guys that I also was looking at, Antoine Brooks, I think out of Maryland would be a good one. You look at Julian Blackman out of Utah, and Shaim Carter, he's kind of gotten low grades. I think Shaim Carter is a very solid guy. I think he can do a lot, and I hope that there's a team that can go out there and pick him up and probably produce him after a year or so, kind of like the Jags did with Ronnie Harrison when he came out of Alabama. But that is going to be it for the position rankings for me. Let me know how you think about it. Let me know who you switch around, and give me your opinions in the comment section below. Of course, if you are new, subscribe, turn the notifications on if you want to stick together for every draft video that we're going to be doing leading up to the draft and the post-draft, of course. And of course, if you did like the video, make sure to leave a like, as it does help me out a lot. If you didn't, refresh the page, go through it again, and see if you like it any better the second time. But that is going to be it for you. And without further ado, I will see you guys next time.